Yes. Okay.
Let's look at Yudalad and line 25.
Yudalid, line 25. Okay. Okay.
So we said yesterday two examples of the young scholar and the small and great scholar, how the nullification between one to the other, between the young to the great one, and also the nullification between the simpleton and the great scholar. And we explained that the Rebbe explains that the nullification between the young scholar and the great scholar is a limited type of nullification because it's intellectually based, and the nullification between the simpleton and the great scholar is great type of bittul. It's the old bittul b'metzius, the complete nullification, bittul b'tachlis, bittul b'metzius. He gives it all the titles of bittul. And now today's starts with Zoe Gayam Malas HaBitul B'Olam Hazeh. And this is the greatness or the advantage of the nullification of this world to godliness. Shabitul Hu Bitul V'Tachlis. This world, saying, we said before that there's the aspect of chidush, of novelty, that this world nullifies to godliness. That's number one. And it says it's like a tzipor medaber, it's like a bird speaking, that it's not something that you would expect, because this world was designed to run seemingly independent. But the truly, for the world to recognize, identify, enable godliness to thrive, that's and be nullified to godliness, that's a chidush. So there's a mila, there's a superiority to this. Another advantage to nullification in this world, it's explained in Tanya, in Igeres HaKodesh, the creation of the physical yesh, the physical body or the physical world, the materialistic world, has to be with the power of Atzmus, meaning Hashem's essence itself had to be involved with the creation of the yesh hagashmi, the physical yeshus, the physical body. So meaning that the creation took place from the true ayin, the true godliness, the essence of godliness. Koyach ha'atzmus. Why? Shu levade v'koycho v'echolto livre yesh me'ayin v'efes ha'muchlat. The only one that has that capacity to create yesh, something out of nothing, ex nihilo, and he writes efes ha'muchlat. We spoke before, what is the concept of ayin? So the simple translation to ayin is nothingness, but Chassidus tells us that ayin means the inconceivable. The incomprehensible is the ayin. What we perceive is yesh, understand that. We don't understand that it's ayin. It's out of our realm, right? So, but to create yesh, to create a real physical reality, it came into being through ayin ve'efes hamuchot, which is a complete nothingness. In line 1, at the end of the line, it says ube'ofen she'nirgash boy she'ein lo ila v'siba shekodma lo. To create such a yesh, such an entity that would not feel any, like not, it's, you remember the creation of cause and effect, that the cause creates the effect, and the effect has some kind of relations to the cause, can relate to the power that is feeding him. When it comes to Yesh HaGashmi, there's no whatsoever connection with, at least the conceivable, known connection between the Ain and the Yesh, because they're so far apart. So the moment that it's like imagine you work for Microsoft, so you get paid. How you can relate your paycheck all the way to Bill Gates? There's so many departments, so many this. There's maybe 100 people until you get to the top. So you're not per se relating your paycheck to the boss. I mean, if the boss had a bad day, you're not gonna get paid. He's not getting involved in the account payable, right? The account payable is the accountant. So, but still, there's some kind of knowing who runs the company, who is running the show. Creating Yesh Gashmi from Ein, that the creation itself has no connection whatsoever with the Ein that created it. Bedugmas ha'atzmus shemetzius ma'atzmusoi ve'ino olu mezo'ila shekodmo l'chas v'sholem. And he says, so much so that Hashem created the Yesh HaGashmi. When I say Yesh HaGashmi, it could be the world, it could be a human being. Physical being, right? Yesh HaGashmi. He says Hashem created from Atzmus, but in such a way, the same way that Atzmus doesn't have, God forbid, any cause that created it. Atzmus is Hashem's essence. Hashem created the Yesh to be in such a way that he feels is independent. Completely by himself, he runs the show. It's the powerful, famous statement, Li Oiri, V'ani Asisini, I have created the Nile, I have created myself. A complete denial of, but you can say denial is he knows the truth of it, he denies it. Over here, the Rebbe tells us that when Atzmus is creating through Yesh and Ein, or Yesh Me'ain, something out of nothing, the Yesh is completely feeling independent. There's no, he feels that there's nothing that came before. This maybe can explain why some people are behaving the way they are. The same attitude as power. And I created myself, and so on and so forth. In line 5 he says, the physical creation is from the true Yesh. We call it Ein, but what we call Ein is really Yesh, and what we call Yesh is really Ein. Why? What is Yesh? Yesh is existence. Ein is the inconceivable, the non-existent. Non-existing, at least from our perspective. But the true existence is something that is independent, right? And the non-existing is something that is dependent. If you're dependent, you're not truly existing, because you have to constantly be renewed and revived by something that is higher than you. So you're not true independence. So, what is a Yesh Amiti? We are Yesh Anivra, the created Yesh. But there's something called Yesh Amiti. Yesh Amiti is the Ein that created us. Because that's a true, the Yesh Amiti is truly independent. It's not receiving from anybody, it runs on its own. So he tells us that the Yesh Anivra is us, who was created from where? From Yesh Amiti, from godliness, from the essence of Elikus. In our bitul shaloi ba'efen shenase bot of etachlis Yesh Amiti. So when you decide to connect to Hashem, you decide to nullify yourself to godliness, what happens? You're nullifying yourself to the level that created you. So suddenly, he's trying to lead us to a point where we're saying that the bittul of this world is so much superior to any other nullifications, because this world was specifically created from the Yesh Ha'amiti, from the true Yesh. So that's why When you nullify yourself, you connect yourself to the highest levels, to the highest of levels. Because the highest of levels got involved in creating you. And why, if you ask, why do we need the highest level to be involved with us? Because if you think about our creation, Hashem had to do such a thing that is, in a way, an oxymoron. It's what's called in Hebrew, dover veipuchoy. One thing and then its opposite. On one hand, creating us directly from Him, from Atzmus, at the same time concealing Himself completely. It's like doing something that is seemingly against its nature. Creating you from the highest levels, but instilling within you the ability to deny completely that you received from Him. So you write, ובאיפה שנעשה בוטר בתכלס ליש האמיתי, is nullified to the true יש, ועד שמתבטל ממציאוס, עוברת אויס, יש הנברא. He now stops to be, he is ceasing or stopping to become the Yesh HaNivra, Venasa Yesh HaAmiti, and becomes the true Yesh, meaning he connects himself to Yesh HaAmiti through his Bitul, and he stops to become the Yesh HaNivra. He becomes, now he gets to a higher level. And this is the Tachlis HaBitul. Shezeu Tachlis HaBitul, this is the ultimate nullification. Remember, the Maimer starts with Katonti. The Maimer said, Yaakov Avinu is davening to Hashem, and he says, I was minimized, I was lowered from all the chesed that you did with me. And the point was that the more chesed Hashem shows you, if the chesed comes from the side of Kedusha, the more humble you become. Chesed comes from the side of the world of chaos, from Toyu, and the more chesed, the more arrogant, the more the show begins, right? But then when chesed comes from the side of Kedusha, the more humble you become. The closer to Hashem you become. The more closer to Hashem, Hashem showed you chesed, you become closer and closer to Him, the more nullified you become. So that's what he ends off saying. The closer you become, that iskavus, that closeness, brings more bitul. And ultimately brings the tachlis of bitul, the highest level of bitul. And this is the reason why the revelation of Hashem's essence is specifically in this world. The revelation of Hashem's essence is in this world. We asked the question before, why Hashem doesn't pick the heavens or the heavens of the heavens. Seemingly it would be greater for Him. He says no, but Giloy Ha'atzmus, the revelation of essence, happens in this world specifically. And when we said the word Dira, remember, Dira is a place where Hashem feels comfortable. It's not just a place where I sleep for the night and I go. It's a place where I feel comfortable. Walk with my slippers, and my essence is revealed in this place. So because of Hashem's involvement in creating the Yesh HaNivra, the created Yesh. How did Hashem do it? Through Atzmus. Therefore, when we nullify ourselves, the Atzmus is being revealed down here in this world. And if you think about it, this world has only in this world you can have the true bitul. Why? Because in the higher worlds, they're already nullified. Hashem created angels in the world of Yetzirah. The world of formation is the Tez and Taina is the abode for the angels. Or the world of Bria is the abode for the souls of tzaddikim. So these places are designed to have already bitul. So there's no chidush that they are nullified. Let's see, creating a person attracted to physical things, surrounded by material things, and at the same time finding a way to nullify himself to Hashem. That's a chidush. That the world, the physical place, will be a dwelling place for Hashem. That's a chidush. So number Zayin, Ois Zayin, in line 15, this revelation that my place is nullified to me, Atori is my place, is nullified to me, and I'm not nullified to my place. The place is nullified to me, I'm not nullified to the place. That's a statement of the Midrash Rabbah. So the physical reality is nullified to godliness. This was done through the service that took place in Beis HaMikdash. What took place in Beis HaMikdash primarily was the korbanos, the offering, the sacrifices. This was explained in the Ma'amorim of Bossi Legani that the Rebbe Rayatz gave or publicized on Yud Shvat, Tafshin Yud, in 1950, the day that he passed away. So over there he spoke in length about the deeper meaning of korbanos, the inner meaning of korbanos. In short, Rebbe repeats the nekuda from the Maimer of Bossi Legani, and he says, what is the korbanos? Is that you're taking behema, an animal, animal is rooted from the world of Toyu. All the animals are rooted from the world of Toyu, the world of chaos. The animal is higher than us because we are coming from the world of Tikkun, and the animals are coming from the world of Toyu. We are from the world of refinement. That's why we need the animals. We need them. We survive through them. If we don't need the animal continues to live. So in a way, we need the animals. And that's why they were created before us. It shows that they have some kind of advantage over us. Remember the famous teaching that if a person, God forbid, he's sinning, it says that even a mosquito came before him. Meaning that now the mosquito has some kind of advantage over a human being.
Because you have a higher shurish.
Yeah. So when you're bringing the korban the mizbeach, what happens? You're elevating the animal to its root back to Toyu, which is higher than the root of us, of a person. Valideze, what happened by elevating it back to Toyu? The animal is elevated to its root, to its source. What's the root of the source and the source of the animals? The four, we'll call it the supernal chariot. It says in the prophecy of Yechezkel that it has a lion to the right, ox to the left, eagle, and the image of a man. Pnei Adam, image of man, right? So by shechting the animal, placing it to the mizbeach, sprinkling its blood, and all the work that was done with it, you're elevating the animal back to its source. What's its source? So he writes, Shepnei Aryeh, the image of the lion, Shebemerkavu Meker Kol HaChayos. The source of all the chayos, of all the animals, is coming from the image of the lion. And the image of the ox is the source of all the behemoths. You know the difference between chayos and behemoths? Chayos is the non-domesticated, and behemoths is the domesticated. We spoke in the Gemara many times. What happened when you have a hybrid? It's let's say a non-domesticated is mating with domesticated, and now you have right? Deer with a sheep, right? Male deer with a sheep. So you have a chaya and behema in one. So and that makes a big difference in the laws of for example, chelev, because you're not allowed to eat chelev from behema, but not from chaya. Because it makes it also in the laws of kisui adam. You know, if you need to cover the blood for chaya, but you don't need to cover the blood for behema. So it makes a big difference. But anyhow, so it tells us that they're coming from a different source. Each one is coming from. So one is come from the image of the lion, the chayas, the non-domesticated, and the behemoths are coming from the image of the ox, Penei Shor. And where are the birds coming? The birds are coming from Penei Nesher, from the image of the eagle. So each one has its root, where it's coming from.
Test blood.
And ultimately, what do? What's the functionality of these chayos? In the prophecy of Yechezkel, when it speaks about the Merkava, the supernal chariot, what's the purpose of this chariot? So he writes, by elevating the korban, the sacrifice is being elevated to its source. The animals are now, these lion, ox, eagle, what do? They carry the Merkava, they carry the throne. And then what? It says, and they carry the supernal man that is on the throne. To where? Where do they take him? It says they take him to Bechinas Kiloy Odom. They're elevating him to a level that is called Loy Odom Hu. You have a level of, right now is in a level of Adam Ha'elyon, the supernal man, and we're taking him to a place of Lo Adam Hu. Ve'od lamala yoter, and even to higher levels. Okay, so carrying the image of man to a higher levels, kaidua. And this he quotes the Zohar, sherozo de kurbino, oila adrozo de ensof, which means the secret of the korban is ascending ad sod ha'ensof, up to the secret of ensof. Umisham, and from there, nimshach lemat. Now, all this is happening by bringing a korban. Placing the korban on Mizbeach, the animal is consumed, it goes back to its root. What's the root of the animal? Penei Shor, the image of the ox, and causes added power within the ox to carry the throne, elevating Adam to a higher level, to a level of Lo Adam Hu, and now there is reciprocation, it comes back down. And then what? Umisham nimshach lemat, shezeu inyan reach nichoach, and it brings pleasant aroma. Reach nichoach milashon nechot darga. And nichoach also has the expression or the explanation, the interpretation of the word nichoach can also mean nechot darga, meaning yerida bedarga. It's descending down. There is somewhat degrading. Shuinyanam shachat elokut lemata. Ultimately, what happens through the korban is bringing godliness lemata into this world. So all this process is to get godliness to come down. That's in short, the secret of the korban. What we see from the Zohar.
Brought down means revealed, because it's here, right?
Being revealed in this world, godliness, and that's what they saw in the time of Beit HaMikdash, through the korban. My son once asked me, he said, we're speaking about tohu, right? So the animal will come from tohu, and we're bringing it back to tohu. So what was the issue with tohu to begin with, the world of chaos? He said it was shvira sakel, right? Meaning there's too much light, small vessels, and it shattered. So he says, okay, so you elevating it back to tohu, and then it comes down. So he says, what guarantees us that you wouldn't have a Shpiras HaKelim again? Right? The breakage of, because it's really the same idea. You're bringing tremendous light into. So I said to him, no, but now, by doing the work that we do, we are preparing the Kli to handle a higher revelation. So that's really what happens. And so godliness comes down. Now it's revelation ultimately from Tohu that is coming down. But the reason why it doesn't create a chaos again, a chaotic situation, is because the Kli is ready to receive it. When the Kli is not ready to receive, then it can break.
Is the Kli with the world?
The world is a Kli. The world, yeah. We are also a Kli. Yeah. There's many Kli, many vessels. So we are a Kli. We are a Kli, for example, to what goes in us. Oxygen goes in us. We are Kli to that oxygen. If we put the wrong oxygen or too much oxygen, like they did to a lot of people, they didn't know how to treat them with COVID. They put them too much oxygen, and they died from the oxygen.
Isn't that a little bit inhuman to call a human being a Kli?
Yeah, we are a Kli. We're taking food inside us. We cannot take too much food because our Kli is limited. Our Kli is limited, so we cannot take too much food. We cannot take the wrong food. Everything that is taking in is a vessel, is a container. Think about it. We take in, like any bucket, you put in the bucket, we take in food. We take in energy, air, oxygen, and if it's the wrong one, we cannot live. It has to be exactly fit to us. Also, our bgadim, our clothing, are Kli to us. If they don't fit us, they're not comfortable for us. If my shirt would be XXXL, I wouldn't feel comfortable in it.
Or if it was small and you take a large.
Or if it's too small, I wouldn't feel comfortable. It has to fit the Kli. So what happens when you bring too much light, too much power into a small Kli? It breaks. It shatters.
Okay. And then what? Then what?
So what happened? So what we're explaining is that when they were bringing the korbanot in Beit HaMikdash, so the Zohar says, what is the effect of the korban? Okay, a person wants to ask forgiveness, korban chatat, korban asham, korban shlamim. But what's the effect of the korban in this world? So the Zohar tells us what happens with the korban in the higher worlds. So he says, first of all, you should know that animals have a root, they have a source, they're coming from somewhere. Where do they come from? He said they come from the world of Tohu. What is the world of Tohu? They're telling you they come from this place. What is this place? What is this world of Tohu? So it tells you the world of Tohu is a place where there is tremendous amount of power. It's big light, great light, but the vessels are too small, and it creates a breakage of the vessels. That's why it's called Tohu, chaos. It's a chaotic situation. Our job is to take the korban, shecht it, put it in the mizbeach. Hashem comes, takes it. The fire comes from heaven, fire comes from below. It goes back up. That's what the Zohar explains. It goes back up to its source. What's the source of the korban? We said Tohu. And then what happens? Where within Tohu? What's there? He tells you there is the image of the ox. There's the image of the lion. There's the image of the eagle. Each one is a different source. We said that.
The astrology, the animals there all around.
No, he doesn't say astrology. I can only tell you what it says. I don't know about astrology.
Because there's animals there, everything.
He said
the snake, the crab.
He says that all the animals are created from. If it's non-domesticated, animals are created from the lion. Domesticated animals created from the ox. One of the explanation, by the way, why they did the golden calf, is they thought, according to Kabbalistic interpretation, is that they said that we are receiving from the image of the ox. So that's why we should serve that's why they created the golden calf. Anyway, there is a source above. It's not a physical ox, but it's the source for all the animals in this world. So when you bring in the korban, it takes it back to its source. It goes back the spirit of the korban, the life of the korban, the neshama of the korban goes back to its source. When it goes back to its source, it gives power to the source. It adds power to the source. When you add power to the source, what happens? It says, "Achayot nosot et hakiseh." They carry the throne. They carry the throne to a higher level. Okay? What's on the throne? Who is sitting there on this wagon? So it tells you there's an image of Adam, Penei Adam. We don't know it's Adam Ha'elyon, the supernal man, but there's an image of a man. Try to picture Adam sitting there, Adam HaRishon, first man. Yeah, I'm repeating word by word. Adam Ha'elyon, Penei Adam, an image of man sitting on the throne. And because that you added power to the ox and to the lion, whatever, now they carry the Adam. Where do they carry him? To a higher level. What is a higher level than Adam? It tells you a level that is called Lo Adam. Now he was Adam, it's called a level of Lo Adam. Okay, very nice. We raised Adam to a level of Lo Adam. And then what? So he tells you, and then there's a reciprocation. Now he brings back, you elevated me, I'm giving you now. You, down here in this world, did something for me, I'm doing something for you. What am I doing for you? I'm taking my godliness, the levels that you raised me up, and I'm bringing it down back to you, into this world. And that is called, in two words, dira b'tachtonim. That you bring in godliness into a physical world. And that's what happened in Beit HaMikdash through the korbanot. So according to the Zohar, this is the secret of the korban.
That's heavy, huh?
Heavy.
Wow.
So all these korbanot during the, but now we don't have Beit HaMikdash, there's no korbanot. So how are we going to bring Dira B'tachtonim if we don't have a korbanot?
It says, Adam ki akriv mikem korban laHashem. So it says the korban, when you brought a korban, you had to have, the korban has to come from you. What does that mean, has to come from you? If you bring a korban without doing tshuva, the korban did not accomplish anything. So you trying to bribe Hashem with some with goats, with sheep. Hashem needs your sheep. It's like the famous statement of Natan HaNavi to Shaul, HaMelech. He says to him, Tov shemoa mizevach tov. It's better to listen from a good offerings. Hashem doesn't need your offering; He needs your listening. So the korban has to come from you. So till today, we can bring a korban. For example, we sacrifice our ratzon. We sacrifice our will. If I have a will to be somewhere else and I force myself to be here, I did a korban. I sacrificed my ratzon. So you can still do sacrifice. If you want to tell somebody off and you're holding it back and you talk to him gently, you are sacrificing your ratzon again. So we can sacrifice our ratzon in many ways.
If you don't see anything.
Every time you overcome your evil inclination, עושה korban. Also, when you're fasting, it's also korban. It says regarding fasting, שנתמעט חלבו ודמו. What happens when you fast, the body starts to take from the reserves. We all have reserves. Unfortunately, some have more than needed, but we have reserves. So the body starts to take, when you fast, Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, the body starts taking from the reserves. That's nitma'et. It reducing what we have. We had a certain amount of fat. The BMI was 20, whatever, and now it's less. So nitma'et, it was reduced, and that's a korban too. It's considered a korban. That's considered a korban. It's a little bit. It doesn't do much, right?
But scientifically, almost nothing.
Yeah.
In the Haftorah of Shachris of Yom Kippur, the Hashem says that if you're not doing it with the true kavanah, it's a joke.
Right. Bruchim to you.
It brings it goes Sovek to Mamala, is that? When it's saying bringing down.
when saying the response from Lo Adamhu is in the time of Beit HaMikdash, it was revealed. Godliness literally came to the world.
It's for bringing.
אז כל פעם שאתה עושה רצון השם זה הקרבת קורבן.
When it comes to for bringing tonight.
Maybe you keep it and you just buy a few things,
All right.
because I don't know if I'll get to it.
All right. I know.
Stop by Aroma.
Some nosh, right?
Yes, buy whatever you want. We still have a bottle that is not finished.
Yeah, I
So
know. That's good. I'm looking forward.
Yeah. we want to have a little Farbrengen tonight. Yud Kislev. Test Yud Kislev.
So tell the Ashes How will be later than usual.
כל פעם שאתה עושה רצון השם זה הקרבת קורבן.
Yeah, especially when it's against your will. Your inner will tells you to do something else, and you do it for Hashem, for the sake of Hashem. That moment is a korban. Yeah. That's why the Zohar says every time that you do it kafia, which means you are kofeh, you are subduing your ratzon, right? You're forcing yourself in a way to do something that is against your will. Which translates to the honor of God is now being glorified, being added in all the worlds. Meaning there is a tremendous amount of nachat and benefit in the higher world from one subduing, from one overcoming, one act of overcoming your inclination in this world. There's tremendous effect in the higher worlds. If we would be able to see it, we would do it all the time. The fact that it's harder, we don't see it, it makes it obviously harder. But that also makes it real. Because if we saw it, then it's not a fair game.
Rabbi, what happens when you do something that it's not against your will, but it's still something for Hashem?
It's not against, it's still for Hashem. It also creates effect, but the things that are completely against you, creating even greater effect. That's what he's saying. Obviously, it would create a response. At certain times, that's why Chassidus speaks about the two levels of Oved Hashem and Lo Avado. So Oved Hashem is someone that doing things that against his nature, and someone that is called Lo is not Oved Hashem, is doing everything within his nature. So everything that you are accustomed to do, let's say you are accustomed to pray, but when you push yourself a little bit more, and you tell yourself, today, my Shema Kolen will be on a higher level. One paragraph of Shmoneh would be with more concentration. That's Oved Elokim, because at that moment you change from what you're accustomed to do. So constantly to be on that stage. Even a motivator speakers, they tell you, do one thing that you are afraid of. What does it mean, one thing that you're afraid of a day? Do one thing that you're not comfortable with. Why are you afraid of it? Because you're not comfortable with it. Because that's really where growth is coming. And that's what brings you to the level of Oved Elokim. Oved Elokim. Where are we? So
around line 6.
yeah, so Chet Vait Veine. Oh, so we spoke about Vezeu Afki Abayit Hazeh. It says becomes Shlomo HaMelech. He spoke in the inauguration of the first Beit HaMikdash, and he says, Shlomo HaMelech said, Afki Habayit Hazeh, this physical dwelling, this Beit HaMikdash, has now revelation of godliness more than the upper world, Shalidei Avodat HaKorbanos, through the offerings of Korbanos. Now there is godly revelation in Beit HaMikdash. So much so that it became a dwelling place for Hashem. It says, how can you do it now? It can happen now through Avedas Atfilah, through toiling and davening. We know that the Gemara in Brachos tells us that it was instituted instead of the Korbanos. Shizeh Masha Kosuv Odom Ki Yakriv Mikem. That's the meaning of in the Parsha of Korban. It says, Odom, man that will bring a korban from within you. V'lo nemar Odom Mikem Ki Yakriv. It should have been written grammatically correct. It should have said, Adam, a person from within you that brings a korban. One among you that brings a person, a man among you that brings a korban. Instead, it says, Odom ki yakriv, a person that brings a korban, me came from within you. Upirish Baal Simcha v'Geula, the Alter Rebbe, the one who was liberated. So it says the one who had the joyous day. In Yotis Kislev, Shehu Inyan Akrovas Nefesh Ba'amis. He says, what does it mean? That you bringing a korban from within you is to sacrifice the animalistic soul. You take your animalistic soul, the animal within you, and you put it on the Mizbeach. Shesho Sholem Ala Yeser. That why we're dealing so much with the animalistic soul? Because the root of the animalistic soul is higher. What is it? Akdime Tante. It's a famous teaching that the Zohar tells us that the Yetzer Hara tells a person, I was here before. Because it says, when a person is born, Yetzer Hara is coming immediately. He's entering, he's there already. And the Yetzer Tov only kicks in fully at 13. So, Akdime Tante, he has a taine, he has a claim that I was here before. So I should be the one, I already have the established record, established credit, and I should be the one to lead. And that's really the claim of the Nefesh Ba'amis. Valedei atfilo, but through davening, mis'ale l'shorshu mekoiro. Now the Nefesh Ba'amis is elevated to its root and source, u'misham nimshach hagilu lamata. And ultimately, from there comes the revelation into this world. So we can accomplish what was accomplished through Korbanos, through davening. Davening can do it. Okay, let's daven.
That's it, very short.
Yeah.